Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the I Don't Get It podcast. So we got an email from a girl a couple weeks ago. She was very eager to come on our podcast and talk about the fact that she has 2 vaginas, okay? That seems something that was pretty much up our alley.
Right.
Fascinating, right? Something
So
medically fascinating has to do with vagina, right? Kind of like touches on all of our interests. So we decided to have her come on and discuss this recent diagnosis. And because I don't know that could really take up a whole hour, we're also having other people come on talking about maybe not so much like definitely not life-threatening, slightly life-altering diagnosis that are a little bit offbeat that you don't really hear of lately or at all. Not lately, like at all. So Lauren set up the interview with Mary, our first guest, who has 2 vaginas, and then I have set up the other interviews, and they don't really know what's going on. So I'm going to let the guests tell Lauren and Naz what they have, and they really did want to bring awareness to it. This is not like a gawking show. It's not like oh my god. They want to bring awareness to these very rare disorders, syndromes that they have, to maybe help people out there who also have it and have no idea that they do.
Yeah, not trying to make this a Ripley's Believe It or Not.
No,
episode.
exactly.
No.
All right.
All right,
So
we're going to let Mary in,
Mary.
and she's going to tell her stories.
Okay.
I'm so excited.
Hi, Mary.
How are ya?
I'm good. This is so surreal. How are y'all?
We're great.
We're so
how are you?
excited
You're
to
so
have you
cute.
on.
You're adorable.
I am so excited. I've been listening to y'all since I was just going back to when like the first podcast I listened to. And I think it was 2016. So y'all have been with
the very beginning. Thank you so much.
So you emailed us saying that you discovered, is it recently, that you do have 2 vaginas, although I feel like that's not proper terminology.
Yes.
So tell us your journey and how you came to discover this.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so yes, this was recently. This was January of this year, so 2022. And I'm 24, so like the fact that I could go this long without knowing any of this is ridiculous. But so my husband and I actually were trying to conceive since August. So nothing was happening, and I was like, okay, I guess I just need to get in. Like I was due for a PAP anyway. So I got in with this OBGYN who I've heard was like really good. She's the one that I want to like deliver our baby when we do have a baby. So like I really wanted to get in with her. So I went in and just went in for the normal PAP. I thought I was normal. Like I thought I had 1 vagina, 1 uterus, 1 everything, like you're supposed to. And I go in, I've had a pap smear before, so I didn't think anything of it. But I had been off birth control for several months. So I go in and she's like about to do her thing. It's always like super awkward, but she's about to do her thing, and she goes in and all of a sudden she's like, huh. And like, that's the last thing you want to hear from your gynecologist. And I'm like, yes. And she's like, I can't find your cervix. And so immediately I'm like, okay. And I'm shaking, like I have anxiety anyway. And so this is like not what I want to hear, but I'm like, do I have one? She's like, yes, but we can't find it. So she rushes me in to get an ultrasound. Well, she rushed me to the line, and I'm like waiting in line next to these pregnant ladies, and they're so cute, and they're like rubbing their bellies, and they're like, oh, what are you here for? And I'm like, she can't find my cervix. But yeah, so this is how it all started. So they take me to the ultrasound room, and they're looking at me, and they have like the jelly on my stomach. Well, first they tried to do a vaginal ultrasound, and they were like, it can't go up like very far at all without hitting something. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I've never had any issues. Like, I don't know. So she said, we're going to try to do like an external one. So they put the jelly on my stomach, and all of a sudden it pops up on the screen, this like circle. And I'm like, what is that? Is that my uterus? And they were like, no, that's a mass.
Oh, no.
So my first, everybody.
Wait, that's a what? A mass.
So like, I'm thinking the worst. So I'm like praying, like, please don't let this be something serious. Like, what's going on? And they said, actually, it's a very big mass. And the ultrasound technician is like, I've never seen anything like this. So of course, that's like the second thing you don't want to hear.
Yeah, it's like all these words, maybe just keep them to yourself.
Thank you.
In your head. And then like, let me know. So we found this and it's going to be fine.
Yes. Well, the problem is like, they couldn't tell me that day. So they called the doctor in and they were both just like flabbergasted. They were like, I don't really know what's going on. You have this large mass. We don't really know, like, we can't even see your uterus because of the mass. So we don't know if it's in your uterus or outside of it or what, but we're going to have to get you in to see an oncologist, which the second scary thing, you know, like nobody wants to hear that. So
Wait, Mary, what were you in that time thinking that it was? Because you know how your mind goes a million places. Like, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
I thought it was cancer.
Yeah, it sounds like it would be like ovarian cancer. You must have been flipping out.
Well, that was my first thought. And so when the doctor came back in, I was like, be straight with me. Do I have cancer? Like, is that what this looks like? She's like, well, I don't think so. And I'm like, okay, why don't you think so? Like, please convince me.
Yeah. Elaborate on that.
Yes. And like, please, because I'm shaking right now. Like, they couldn't even do the ultrasound for a while because I was like shaking.
Oh, this is terrifying.
It was traumatizing, truly. But she was like, the only reason I don't think so is because you're young. Like, this isn't common for someone young. But also she's
that doesn't make me feel very much better.
Yeah, well, I would also be like, what? Young people die all the time.
Yeah, that's what I would think. Yeah.
I was honestly like, just in my head when she said that, I was like, okay, she's just trying to make me feel better. Like, she really does think this is cancer, because she referred me to a cancer specialist.
Yeah.
Like a gynecological oncologist is who she referred me to.
Wow.
And so of course I'm freaking out. And that's what I was left with that day. Like, I left there knowing I have a large mass. They told me it was 11 centimeters. So like the size of a softball. And I didn't know, I know. And I didn't know anything. Like, I wasn't in pain. I couldn't feel it. I just was like, this has to be a mistake. I don't know. So I called a family meeting and I was like, called my husband and I was like, come to my parents' house. It's like a meeting point. And I had already told my husband about them not being able to find my cervix. And he was like, that's strange. Like, I don't know what to tell you, babe. That's weird. But when I got there, I told them, and we were all just like so confused. We were Googling, we didn't know. And like nothing came up other than the worst, like ovarian cancer, cervical cancer, uterine cancer, like all of the cancers were what came up when you Googled. But luckily the oncologist was able to get me in really, really quickly.
Oh, good.
Like 2 days later, I got to go into the oncologist, and that was a scary experience in and of itself. Just like going in. But the first thing he said to me when I sat down was, I don't think you have cancer. And so I was
very nice and reassuring. Okay, very good. Good bedside manner.
Yes. I love him. I was like, thank you.
I love him. He tells me I don't have cancer.
Just for that in and of itself. He was like, I don't think you have cancer, but you do have a giant mass. So we've got to get it out. So he immediately scheduled surgery, because he said, we won't be able to know what it is until you have surgery.
Wow.
But I was ready. I was like,
it's wild that like they had to go in to like know what it is.
Yes. And
that's wild.
Coterie time. Okay, we're going to take a minute to talk about coterie. You guys, these are diapers that I have a passion for. They keep him so dry. He could go a pretty long time without a diaper change. If he wakes up in the middle of the night, it's not, and I have to feed him, it's not a total necessity for me to have to change Dawson's diaper in the middle of the night, because these things are so absorbent. I love them so much. They keep your baby safe and protected without sacrificing their comfort, and they have the cleanest, highest performing diapers. Such a comfortable feel. You can feel it just with your own hands, so like you know that
it's like cashmere for the baby.
Think about this. Like, we're picky about the underwear
it's not
that
cashmere.
we wear.
It's
right.
It's not cashmere. It's coterie.
It's not cashmere. It's coterie. But like, I think we're very picky about the underwear that we wear, right? Because there's some pairs that you always pull out. You know, you have your drawer, and some of them you're like, oh, I only wear them when I don't have a clean load, right?
100%.
But then there's some that you always pick out because they're so soft. Well, that's the coterie. babies. Okay.
Right. And Coterie has actually been awarded Best Diaper and Wipes, because they make wipes too, by both The Bump and Parents.com. So forget about nighttime leaks and wet sheets and try, quote, the Rolls Royce of diapers, Coterie.
Yes.
Right now, Coterie is partnering with our podcast, the I Don't Get It podcast, to offer you 20% off your first order plus free shipping at coterie.com/IDGI. That's Coterie spelled COTERIE.com/IDGI for 20% off and free shipping. Coterie.com/IDGI.
Seeing the diagram that you sent us, you guys, she sent us a diagram. This is Dr. Ashley Iaconetti is on the line now. It looks as if it wouldn't come up as a mass, but almost like a tissue deviation in your vaginal cavity. So when he got in there, did he realize it wasn't a mass? It wasn't a mass? So what's going on?
That's the thing. So this is in January. I didn't find out that I had 2 uteruses, 2 vaginas, 2 cervixes until
Holy
like
damn,
a
girl,
month
you
ago.
have 2 of everything?
2 of everything. Yes.
Oh my God, so funny. So you sent us the diagram, and I tell Lauren and Naz, I go, it appears as if she has 2 cervix. And I'm thinking,
and I was like, I was dying laughing because I'm like, you're literally a doctor. Like, I wouldn't know any of this.
But you have 2 of everything. Okay, continue and tell us the whole story without interruptions from me.
No, it's okay. Y'all stop me whenever, please, because I might ramble. So just stop me. But yeah, so I didn't know this was January, and I'm just now finding out like a month ago that I had 2 of all that. So when he went in for the surgery, he did the surgery like less than a week later. All of this happened in the span of a week at first. So I was really lucky to be able to get in so quickly. He went in and did a laparoscopic surgery. So he did like a robot. He went in, just made a few little incisions in my stomach. But he went in and he was like, he had to stop the surgery and go outside he called my husband and was like, I have pictures to show you. And of course my husband's still like, does she have cancer? Like, what's going on? So he takes the pictures outside and he's like, I'm not going to lie, man, I've never seen anything like this.
Wow.
Like, this is your wife's insides.
Oh my God.
I don't know what to tell you. He said, I think what it is a giant uterus, which like makes you feel good. I don't know. Nobody wants to be told they have a giant uterus.
Yeah.
He said, I think it's a giant uterus and then 2 very large fallopian tubes coming off the sides. It kind of looked like in my surgery images, like Mickey Mouse, like a big circle and then 2 like smaller circles coming off. Yeah. And then like the fallopian tubes came off of those 2 smaller circles. But I guess with the mass, it just didn't look like a normal didelphic uterus, which is like 2 uteruses. So he basically was like, I can take some biopsies. I can send it off. It's not cancer. I think she's just like very inflamed. So I woke up from that surgery and he was like, I'm sorry. Like I did a whole lot of nothing really, but I sent it off and we have confirmed like a couple days later, they confirmed it was not cancerous. And I was confirmed to have endometriosis, which I kind of always expected. So that was good.
Right. And what's crazy, and Ashley and Lauren and I were just talking about this before we started recording, is that we definitely want to do a podcast on endo, because I also, until I had to get my fibroids removed, meaning until someone actually went inside my body, did they know that I had endo. And I think it's wild that we don't have like better ways of discovering that. But anyways, continue with your story.
Well, that's kind of like how all of this really happened for me, how I went this long without knowing, because I was in such extreme pain when I was like really young, high school, early high school, and they put me on birth control. So, and I didn't want to have surgery. They said they assumed they have endometriosis, but they didn't want to do the surgery. So they just put me on birth control. And that's how this all went undetected, I guess. But,
we've done a whole
birth
podcast
control is like
on
the
this
fucking
before.
devil out here.
Yes, I'm telling you. That's why I immediately thought of y'all when I found out about all this, because I was like, that birth control podcast, this just all goes together.
Yeah. Yes, it really does. I mean, just to remind people, if they didn't listen to that podcast, we did have a couple doctors on talking about how oftentimes girls are put on the pill as like to mask symptoms of something. And that's all fine and dandy. And you kind of like go around and you live life and you feel pretty normal until you try to have a baby. And then you realize that you've been masking symptoms for so long that really needed to be dealt with at the source.
Right.
Yes, 100%.
And it wasn't until Ashley even brought it's called Beyond the Pill, if you guys want to look up the episode, but it wasn't until we did a podcast on it that I was like, oh, let me get off birth control. Like, it wasn't like any reading I did on my own or any doctor told me to. It's really crazy.
You guys did that podcast, and it, like, I think it was around the same time that I was getting off. So it just reinforced my decision to
that was like 2020, right? That was like 2 years ago now. I think we did.
Yeah.
So was sex like normal? Periods were not normal? How did it hurt at all? Or how did that all work leading up?
When I was on birth control, I didn't really have much of a period at all. And I just thought that was kind of normal for birth control. Everybody told me like it would either be really light or not at all. So I really didn't have much of a period on birth control. Sex on birth control was totally normal. Like nothing was different at all. I've obviously apparently had 2 vaginas my whole life. So I guess I wouldn't know.
Well,
Does that mean you have 4 fallopian tubes?
You don't.
Do you have 4 fallopian tubes?
I only have 2. One coming off each uterus.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, so then you wouldn't have 2 periods every month because you'd have 2 uteruses, but you only have 2 fallopian tubes.
Well, that's the thing. So going back to like him not knowing what it was, when we finally found out what it was, I had to go back to the doctor, and I told her, I was like, oh, well, he said it's just my uterus. And she was like, no, it's not. So we did some more digging, and she was like looking at my stomach. And she was asking me all the same questions. Like, have you had weird periods? Have you had heavy periods? And I'm like, actually, no, they're fairly light compared to what I would think, even off the pill. And then that's when she got me back in the ultrasound room again. And she started looking like really far to the right. Like she took it like all the way to the right. And she was like, there's your uterus. That's it. It's all the way over there. And then the mass is in the middle. And then she went all the way to the left, and she was like, no, that's your uterus. And I was like, wait a minute. No, why is it there and there? You know, there's just one. It should be just like right in the middle. And she was like, no. And she went to the right again and to the left. And she said, I think you have 2 and a mass in the middle. So essentially what's going on, what we figured out after like me doing my own research, because she still didn't know what it was, and going to see all these specialists, I have what's called Avira Syndrome. So obstructed hemivagina with ipsilateral renal anomaly. I think is what it's called.
Sounds right.
What language is that?
Exactly. I don't know.
Sounds like a spell. You used to spell.
I know. That sounds like a spell. Okay, so you know how I was referencing how I'm kind of just giving like Harry Potter, Slytherin vibes right now.
Yeah.
It's because I have my new circle lenses on.
They really are so Harry Potter, but in a very cool way. Well, Lauren said that they were Goodwill Hunting.
They're Goodwill Hunting.
Lauren said they were Goodwill Hunting, but for me, you know, the product of a major Beatles fan, they're just John Lennon.
Okay.
In
modern
house,
John
they're
Lennon.
just modern John. Anyway, so if you need eyeglasses, like for real, because you have prescription or wear contacts like me, or you just want to like look cool, Pair Eyewear has frames that start at just $60, and that is including prescription lenses. And they have hundreds of top frame designs. They can match whatever mood you're in, whatever outfit. I love switching up my style. And I love having a bunch just in my pocket so I can like just put on a different pair for every mood. It's honestly a lot of fun. It feels like you're playing dress up, just like being a kid again. And all that stuff really brings me a lot of joy. Pair Eyewear has forged their own way and designs. All their looks are in-house. You can get high quality eyewear at a fraction of the price. And I just feel like eyewear in general, like the prices are so high. So I just wanted everyone to know about Pair Eyewear because it's like an affordable way to look cool and get prescription lenses.
Well, Naz just goes on and on. Doesn't let me say anything. And I love them too.
Sorry.
I have like this base frame and a magnetic top. So you can constantly be switching up your style. I think that's what's really unique about the Pair Eyewear, because it's called Pair, because you can like mix and match because they're magnetic tops and bottoms. You guys can get glasses that are as unique as you are. One pair, infinite style, starting at $60. Go to paireyewear.com/get it for 15% off your first purchase. That is 15% off at paireyewear.com/get it.
Okay, so then they tell this to you and you're like, okay, so what does that mean?
Yeah, so I kind of had to really find it out myself. Like, I was the one that found the diagram of what it was, and I sent it to my doctor, and I said, could this be it? And she was like, hold on, let me call someone. And she consulted with another specialist, and they were like, yeah, that's what you have. So you really have to advocate for yourself, like, really, because it may have taken longer.
That's so fucked. It's like, yeah.
So when you ovulate, one of those fallopian tubes releases an egg into either your left or your right
one of the you have two ovaries. Let's try to paint this picture. You have two ovaries, right? You don't have four. Okay.
No, just two.
So you have one ovary attached to each fallopian tube, and you have two fallopian tubes that attach to the uterus. The two uteruses.
One on each uterus. So I have a right uterus and a left uterus.
Yes.
Each connecting to one fallopian tube.
Okay.
So imagine like antennas almost like off of the fallopian tube.
And it does look like Mickey in my head now. So then
I
at
see
the
it.
bottom.
Wait, Ashley, can you describe what a normal, like, I don't want to say normal, but what most people have?
Yes. Let me continue.
So mentally, we can compare.
Yeah. Okay. So normally you have the vagina, and at the top of the vagina you have the cervix, and if you were to go through the cervix, which is what like sperm does, then you'll enter the uterus. And then at the top of the uterus, you have a fallopian tube on each side. And at the end of those fallopian tubes, you have an ovary on each side, which is where the eggs come from. The egg comes from the uterus and from the ovary into the fallopian tube. It meets the sperm somewhere in the uterus, in the fallopian tube. And then implants in the uterus.
Implants in the uterus. Got
so
it.
then what Mary has is she has two uterus, but this is my question. You have two cervixes, which leads to sort of two vaginas. But you don't have two holes down there. You have one hole, and somewhere up that cavity it splits.
Yes.
Into each uterus?
Yeah. Well, okay, so when you follow the tunnel, the vagina, when you go up, in my vagina, which I never knew this before, but in my vagina there is a septum. So imagine like the septum in your nose. Mm-hmm. Like there's a septum far up there. But one septum,
a fork in the road.
A fork in the road, if you will. Yes. But one septum is closed off, like one side of it is closed off.
Got it.
So when I got off birth control, when I was menstruating, because I wasn't menstruating for years and years and years and years on birth control, so none of this came up. But when I got off birth control, whenever I would have a period, which both uteruses would shed their lining at the same time, but one uterus would empty, so I would have a normal period. The other one, instead of emptying, because that septum blocked it.
Oh, it started filling up?
Yes. Then, like fluid filled up. So
over years, over the course of years.
Yes, except for when I was on birth control,
or it stopped.
It stopped. So luckily, I think like what happened when I got on birth control was all of the fluid went out as endometriosis through the fallopian tube. So that's why I have endometriosis. And
endometriosis, to anyone listening, is like extra tissue sort of just laying around like spider webs in all your lady parts down there.
Yeah, it's gross looking too when you look at it from my surgery images.
So, wait, I want to see those. Can you send them to me?
Okay, so then that's blocked off and it's full. And was that the mass? Was that okay? That was the mass.
Oh, so the full uterus after you got off birth control was the mass that we were seeing in the ultrasound.
It was like there's like a pouch in my vagina that was collecting all of this fluid. So it started in my vagina. And it got so big. I had my surgery on Wednesday to get rid of the septum and drain it.
This past Wednesday?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Wow.
A week ago today. So I feel so good though. I feel like a new person because it had gotten filled up so much to the point where my surgeon said it was as big as a soccer ball.
That's insane.
Oh my God. How did you feel that? Yeah.
Were you really bloated?
I was in so much pain. I was bloated.
Yeah.
Like it was just filling up like in my vagina, and then it got up into my stomach. So it was pressing on my bladder to where I would have to like to go to the bathroom to go pee. I would have to like push on my stomach to make it come out.
Wow.
It was pressing on like all sorts of things, like my colon, apparently.
Oh my God, I'm so happy that you got to the root of this. Like, cause my whole life, my fibroids were as big as a lemon. And I just thought that I like fluctuated in weight every month and that I just happened to have worse periods. And it like took such a toll on me mentally, not being able to fit in clothes, not being able to eat anything, or like just feel self-conscious in bed. Yeah. It's like, it's the worst when you can't get to the root of something.
So after this, did they open that so you can have normal periods and stuff from both sides?
They removed the septum. So now instead of like the two vaginas, technically, I just have one. So they like cut that whole I guess it's like just tissue or something. They cut that down and then they drained it. They drained over 1 liter of fluid out of it.
Whoa.
I know. It's like so weird to think about, but
did they show you that after?
No, I wanted to see it, but I guess it was probably too gross. But they did validate me by saying how big it was, and they were like, I don't know how you like went to work every day, and honestly, I don't either. It was so painful. So I feel like we just need to talk about this stuff more because there's people walking around and there's actual problems, and it's being masked by birth control, or just people don't talk about it, so.
Yeah. I'm really happy you came on because I have so many friends that deal with stuff, and I'm like, go to the doctor, like figure this out. But also sometimes you go like you did and they don't know what's happening. Yeah. And it's like, you really feel like you're out there on your own,
Advocate for yourself. Like everyone's told me my whole life, like don't Google. But honestly, if I hadn't Googled, we'd probably still be figuring out what this is. So Google, but don't Google too much to where you can't sleep at night like I do.
Absolutely.
Right. Mary, how did you have sex or put a tampon in and not hit that deviation?
Okay, so that's another thing. When I got off birth control, because before everything was normal, when I got off, like slowly over time, it started to where we would be having sex and I would be like, oh, okay, stop, it hurts.
Because it hurt. Wow.
Yeah, it was like pressure. Like imagine a water balloon in there and then he's like hitting a water balloon.
Oh yeah, you don't want that.
But it was pressure, and it wasn't like a sharp pain, it was dull. Until it would get sharp. I know that doesn't really make sense, but like it was just.
I feel like I have 2 of these maybe.
You need to go get checked out.
Maybe.
I think they would have found it during your endometriosis surgery.
Oh yeah, that's true. I think so.
They didn't find mine, so you never know.
That's so true.
Well, there you go.
I know.
Okay, well, I need to talk about something that's plaguing me now, you guys. And that is
what?
The lack of hair growth coming from my scalp the older and older I get. And as you guys know, I've talked about this before. I really miss my thick, fuller hair. And so I have turned to Nutrafol as of last year. I take Nutrafol every day. And by the way, 80 million men and women in the U.S. experience thinning hair. So if you are experiencing this, you are not alone. I feel like people don't openly talk about this. It can be very scary and stressful. We attach a lot of meaning to hair, and all that stress just adds to the problem because when you're stressed out, you're not growing hair. It's a whole thing. Anyway, so I just want you guys to know that millions of Americans are experiencing this, and Nutrafol is formulated with potent botanicals. It's like tablets. So I take 2 in the morning, 2 at night. I take 4 a day, and it helps your hair grow, and it helps your hair become as strong as you are. And it's physician formulated to be 100% drug free.
And it doesn't only help your hair become thicker, it also helps you have better sleep and help your stress response and your skin, nails, and libido. So it's basically all over helping you feel better. And also, when your hair is thicker and fuller, you're going to want to have more sex. Your libido is naturally going to want to go up. I recommend this to every single one of my clients. Everyone thinks their hair is thinning. If it is or not, it's only going to make your hair thicker. So I recommend it for literally everyone. You can grow thicker, healthier hair and support our show by going to Nutrafol.com and using our promo code GETIT to save $15 off your first month subscription. This is the best offer available anywhere, and it's only available to U.S. customers for a limited time. Plus, free shipping on every order. Get $15 off at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com. Promo code GETIT, GETIT, for hair as strong as you are. So your period now comes from one hole, one side.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I haven't really.
Does that cut your chances in half of having a baby since they cut off one?
Well, I still have 2 uteruses. They kept them both.
Oh, you still have 2 uteruses. You still have 2 fallopian tubes, blah, blah, blah. So does that actually help your chance? But you only have...
I don't know. They say it doesn't really do anything because like both of them are kind of small. So that's the only concern, like preterm labor, I would be considered a high risk pregnancy because they're both smaller. And because another thing with this is apparently in the womb, when your uterus forms, it starts out as 2. They're called the Mullerian ducts, and then they fuse together. Oh. And something about them fusing together when you're in the womb actually signals your kidneys to grow. So
that's so cool.
I didn't know this either, but I was born with only 1 kidney.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So
did you ever get to the root of why, how sort of thing? Or is that something you just never really get an answer to? It's just like, this is how I was born kind of thing. Like it doesn't run in your family or anything like that.
No, not as far as I know. I mean, who knows? Like there have been women apparently that don't even know after they give birth that they have 2 uteruses until they have like their second child and have a C-section. So there could be women in my family that have this, but I don't know. They've never told me that.
How common is it to have 2 uteruses?
It's pretty rare. Not as rare as you would think, because as I've like been finding all of this out, I would tell people and they'd say, oh, like my cousin has that or my aunt.
Oh, wow.
The rare thing is the blockage that causes the mass. Like that is really almost unheard of. There's some case studies out there that are fun to read, but that's it.
My last question before we let you go is would it be easier to get pregnant if they took out one ovary, one of each, and then they left you with one of each?
I think not, because of the egg reserve. So actually sometimes it's rare, but you could ovulate twice in one cycle. So potentially if that happens, like I could have
double
the ability to get pregnant twice in one cycle.
Yes. Oh, I've heard of this.
Yes. Some people have had one baby in each uterus.
Oh my goodness gracious. And then the delivery has got to be crazy. They have to do a C-section, probably.
You have to.
Yeah, you
have to, I think.
You'd have like 2 placentas?
No, because one baby has to come later, right?
You would, well, yeah, because so let's say you got pregnant it'd have to be in like a few weeks of each other because your hormones stop all of ovulating.
Yes. So they probably would come at the same time.
And one would probably just be like a little
premature. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, Mary, this was absolutely fascinating. Thank you.
I'm sure people could question you for hours. I feel like
I know. And the lesson I think we get from this
for hours, not question you.
I'm going to put you in a room and question you.
You're our next suspect. None of this is real.
But this is a great learning lesson.
I didn't tell you. Asked me about the tampon thing, so let me tell you that really quick, because this is a sign to get checked out, and I didn't know it. So all of you listening, if you put in a tampon and only one side is filled with blood when you take it out, that's a sign, and I didn't know it. I just thought that was normal. I don't know why I thought that was normal. I never questioned it, but literally one side would be like butterflied out, the other side nothing, because I guess that side was blood.
That dry ass side.
Yes, that's it. So if you notice one dry side of your tampon, you go to the doctor.
You didn't know otherwise, you didn't know that you don't talk about that with your girlfriends. With your friends.
Yeah.
No, I don't. And now I wish I would have. Like, y'all go compare your tampons, because
that's insane.
So you guys, the odds of you having multiples like this is pretty rare, but the lesson here is you figure out your shit before you get on the pill, and then advocate for yourself. And thank you, Mary, for being so open.
Thank you,
Thanks, Mary.
All right, awesome. Bye. I just love your podcast so much. Thank you.
Oh, we love you.
So
sweet.
It was nice to meet you.
Yes, so nice
meeting you too.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, guys, we have another lady coming in next, and it's It's interesting. It's the same region of the body, almost similar, maybe opposite, actually. She's going to speak on behalf of her husband now. I'm going to get her in. All right, Anonymous, on the line. Tell us about your husband's condition.
So my husband has something called congenital bilateral absence of the vas deferens, which is abbreviated CBAVD, but it's a result of being a carrier for cystic fibrosis. And we never would have known about it unless we had gone to see a fertility specialist, because we have been trying for a little over a year to get pregnant with nothing to show for it.
So what did they discover? What does that mean in like layman's terms?
Yeah. So we went to get all of our workups done. So like I had my workup and he gave us sperm sample and it came out as 0. And which like I never would have thought was an option. Like it was like, oh, either 0 or millions or like they're crappy, but never 0. So he took 2 sperm samples and they were both 0, and he got referred to a urologist who then confirmed that he has no vas deferens in either of his testicles.
So what's vas deferens for people who are layman's terms?
So a vas deferens is what carries the sperm from the testicles out. And so if like somebody's getting a vasectomy, the vas deferens is blocked off.
Okay.
So like if someone, I think it's kind of common that after you get a vasectomy, then you take another sperm sample to make sure it didn't work or make sure it worked, and it would be a 0. So it's basically like they just like feel around. The urologist felt around. He tested his hormones. They were all normal, which indicated that he still produced sperm probably, but that there was no vas deferens to get them out.
So what comes out when he ejaculates?
That's the thing. It like looks completely normal.
So it's semen.
Wait, can you guys explain this?
It's semen without
can
the
you
sperm.
Explain it again. So basically,
yes, I'll explain it now.
So like it looks completely normal,
Ashley.
but there's no sperm in it.
Yes. So basically, Naz, there's like a tunnel. Like we have tunnels. Like we all have tunnels down there. There's a tunnel that lets the sperm through, but his was blocked. So the sperm wasn't coming.
He doesn't have one. He doesn't have one.
Well, he does have a canal. The canal is blocked. That's what
he doesn't have a canal at all.
Born without
Oh, okay.
Without
I
a canal.
understand now.
Oh, okay.
Without a canal.
So
which is blocked when you have a vasectomy, but he was born
So when you but
so
he
they
just didn't
physically
have
block
one.
it when you have a vasectomy. Okay, but he was born without the canal in general.
Correct.
Okay,
But stuff comes out without having that canal.
Yeah, so the canal is just for the sperm, but I don't know what produces the fluid, but something else does.
Yeah, so that's interesting because semen is the fluid that carries the sperm. So apparently, this is something I don't know. The semen comes from somewhere else, and the sperm comes from the testicles.
All right, I'm just looking that up real quick.
Okay.
This is fascinating.
Yeah, we never would have known.
Oh, okay. So 25% of semen is made up of liquid produced by the prostate.
Oh, the prostate produces the semen.
Yeah.
Yes, but the balls produce the sperm.
Yes.
So
okay,
so basically,
your
like
husband has semen but no sperm.
Yeah.
Well, he has sperm. It wasn't coming through. The sperm was living in the testicles, but not coming through the penis
because no canal.
Exactly.
Okay,
so
I get it now.
for him? What do they do for him? Do they make a canal or?
No, you can't do that. So you have to take the sperm out surgically. And then the only way to get pregnant is from IVF because the sperm isn't like good enough quality to inseminate with like an IUI or anything like that.
Okay. Usually at nighttime, I play a jumping game. It's like very like minimal, very boring. It's just kind of like to get my mind off the day. But I switched over to Switchcraft.
Wow, seamless transition, Lauren. I could
pun intended.
Because pun intended. I didn't mean to plan it.
Such a loser.
Because they have like really interesting stories in like thousands of levels, so it's never ending, and I'm never bored. I want to like keep my mind active without having the urge to switch over to Instagram or something. So I like how diverse the characters are in Switchcraft, and there's so many levels, and you just want to keep playing to see like the next storyline plot.
I love that you brought up the characters because, again, just like you, I need a good story. Like, in order for me to not be on Instagram, I can't just play games on my phone that aren't following some type of narrative. I love storytellers. I love TV shows. I love movies. And Switchcraft has over 85 different characters that you can fall in love with from so many backgrounds. It's so inclusive. They have disabled characters, LGBTQ plus characters. And you can just focus on how there are tons of levels to play because so you'll never get bored. We all hate those games that only have like a couple levels. And
a little synopsis.
Wait. I gotta add in the fact that it gets me because there's romantic storylines, and we all know that if it's a TV or movie or game without a romantic storyline, I'm not really sold.
And it also witchcraft. You take your Bailey in this, a witch at Pendle Hill, and you're at the World's Academy of Witchcraft. So there you go. Harry Potter fans, anyone that's into like sci-fi, I don't know, witchery, Wicca, have fun with.
Okay, you can explore a realm of magic, mystery, and romance. Just download Switchcraft on your mobile phone for free today. Not to ask too many questions you don't have to answer, of course, but are you guys going through the IVF process now?
So we did a few years ago, and we have a 2-year-old from it. So we're trying to have a second one now.
Okay, great. Well, so is that uncomfortable for him to have it surgically removed, or is it just kind of like they put a little needle in the balls and just suck it up?
No, it was more than that. It was an outpatient procedure, so he was asleep, and it was only like a couple days recovery. Like he had it on a Thursday, and he was back to normal by the end of the weekend.
Okay.
And like you never would know. And other than the sperm sample, like you never know.
So, he probably regrets wearing a condom his entire life.
After that.
Oh my gosh.
I hadn't known about STDs. Like
exactly. STDs aside.
Okay, that's right.
Oh yeah, the STIDs. We always forget about those, man.
Anonymous. He so with the taking of the sperm from his testicles, did they have to do it multiple times, or did they get so much in the one surgery that you were like set up?
Yeah, we only had to do it one time. I don't know how if other people have to do it more than once, but because he normally has fine sperm, he only had to do it once. And they told us they got like 8 tubes of it. So every time we did an IVF cycle, they thawed 1 tube.
Well, usually it's much easier. They go into a room and go,
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing such a private thing with us.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting.
I just wish other people would know that it's an option to get 0, because when I heard 0, it was like, what the hell?
See, another lesson learned. Get checked out, and, because like after, it depends, of course, on your age, but I've said this on multiple podcasts. When it comes to infertility, it's like 33% of the time, it's because of the guy, not the girl. So get your guy tested.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And know that there's a whole bunch of different options that can be wrong with you.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming
and
sharing.
Me.
Bye. Thanks for listening.
The next condition we have is not of the sexual status. But Lauren and Naz, you guys are going to be, you're going to have heard of it before, I think. Okay. But you're going to be very excited, I think, that we have somebody on the phone that has it.
Oh my God, wait.
Because
I'm like literally on the edge of my seat.
Not to be Ripley's Believe It or Not, but like, it's pretty fascinating. Okay, so let's get her in.
Oh, I love being fascinated. I need novelty in my life, always. I do. Hello, anonymous person on our podcast.
You want to be anonymous, or do you want to be, you're okay with me referring to you by name?
You can call me by my name.
Okay. Hello, Kate.
Hi, Kate.
Welcome to the I Don't Get It podcast.
How are you?
We're so good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me on here. I'm so excited.
We're excited, especially Lauren and I, because we have no idea why you're here.
You gave me a little bit of background as to what you have, and I think we've maybe discussed this before on the podcast, so I'm kind of excited to talk to somebody who has this. Can you please explain to Lauren Naz and the audience your, what did you call it, condition?
Wait,
Not
can I
a
guess?
Condition. I don't think it's a condition. I don't know. You tell me.
Wait, do you have webbed feet?
Close, but no.
Close. Okay. Oh my God. I've always wanted to talk to someone who's had webbed feet and ask them about wearing sandals. But anyways, okay, keep going.
So I don't know what you'd call it, like as far as condition or syndrome, but it's called aphantasia.
Oh, I know.
What is that? I don't.
What is it, Lauren?
Is this you can like see colors or feel colors? This is you can't think in your own head. Like you don't have a story in your head when you think.
Oh wait. Did you message me on Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay,
wait.
Perfect.
Wait. We have her, Naz. We have her.
Wait. Oh my God, that's amazing. Wait, I sent you guys her.
Well, she ended up talking. She messaged me yesterday.
Podcast for her.
Wait, This is amazing. Tell everyone what this is because I was fascinated.
I told you guys would be excited.
This is awesome. Okay, so aphantasia means I can't see things like in my head. Like I can't picture something in my head.
Like graphically, like when someone says like I picked up a hot dog and like put it in my mouth, you can't picture that.
Right. So like, well, first of all, I didn't even know most people could until recently. So
You saw a TikTok, right? Did you see a TikTok?
Yes,
because that's why I started thinking about this and thinking how fucking crazy it is. Because I saw that TikTok, I'm like, wait, how do these people actually live? They can't see actions in their head.
Well, you can't see images, right? In your head?
Right. So, yeah, a little bit of background. Saw a TikTok, and the TikTok was like, okay, you might have like a blind mind's eye. So let's test it. Everyone close your eyes and then picture a red star. And I'm like, this is so weird. Like, of course I can't like actually see a red star. And then they're like, can you not see it? You have aphantasia. And it's just the craziest thing. Like for me to imagine how most people can do that. Like to me, I think it sounds so overwhelming to be able to actually like conjure something up in your head. Like there's so many directions I could go with this. So I'll let you guys respond to that.
No, wait, tell us more about how you like that day that you discovered.
Yeah, okay, that's the day to day. Let's talk about that. Like if somebody says, meet me at this restaurant and like, you know where the restaurant is, you don't have to like Google it. You don't have to put it in your maps. You don't like in your head sort of map it out like really quickly, like the route you're going to take?
No. Yeah, if I already know where I'm going, I just like know I'm going to get in my car and I just like know what the steps are, but I can't like make up like a map in my head or kind of like picture myself like going through it ahead of time.
Wait, this is really fascinating to me because I'm such a loser. No, I'm not. I'm such a cool nerd. And I am fascinated by memory, which I really want to do a podcast on memory. And there's a guy named Joshua Foer. He wrote this book, one of my favorite books of all time, called Moonwalking with Einstein. And he talks about creating a memory palace in your head, which is what I do when I'm on a red carpet, when I have to memorize a lot of things, when it comes to like questions. And basically, our brains are really good at memorizing instantaneously without us trying loci, which is locations. So if I told all of you guys to close your eyes and picture the house that you grew up in as a child, and then I told you had to interview, I don't know, like Brad Pitt, and you had to come up with an order of questions to interview Brad Pitt in, I'll in the order of my home, I'll put the first question at the door, the second question in the room right after the door, the third question up the stairs. So because our brains in general are so good at just knowing exactly where everything is in the house I grew up without even trying. So when you close your eyes, Kate, you can't picture the house you grew up in and where everything is?
No. So I can remember where things are and I can like describe like, oh, the couch was here. It was this color. Like you walk into this room. Like I can kind of it's like I have memory and I have the ability to like think, which is why so many people who have this like don't even realize there's like an alternative out there, because like you can't like catch it in school really. But I can't like I probably wouldn't be able to give you like the best details on like color and texture just because I couldn't like rethink of.
So when you say the couch was this color, that couch is not in your head. You're not seeing the couch.
You just remember that it was that color.
Yes.
Wow.
Interesting.
Wow,
that's
crazy. But again, like because you haven't known anything different, it's like not affecting your life in any way.
I have a feeling that school must have been harder for you though. Like memory's got to be harder, and like recall.
Well, to me, I think it's almost like cheating now that I realize people can.
That's so true. Well, there's a difference here between like what the three of us have and like a photographic memory. Like I feel like I do have a bit of a photographic memory, but I mean not to the part of like geniuses have photographic memories where they can like truly clearly see like a page and like read the page in their memory. So that's not what we have.
Yeah, no, I mean, I did well with any like tests or anything that had to do with memorization. Like I did well in school. I guess you distinguish it. Like you don't have a photographic memory, but for me, it is just like, it's like I can think I can come up with like ways to remember everything, for example, for school, but there's no like associating image with it.
Interesting.
Okay, that's very interesting.
Kate, do you meditate?
I've never really tried, but I will say this. I've gone to yoga a few times, and I remember where they'll be like, close your eyes and imagine you're at a beach, or like they'll have these really descriptive words, and I always thought that was just metaphor for like relax. So I was just like, okay, like
because you can't picture that. Wow, that's so fascinating.
Right. It's like thinking of the concept of like, okay, if I'm at a beach, like I probably feel really relaxed. I would be sensing these type of things, but I'm not actually even I'm not able to put myself there.
Right.
Okay. So speaking of that, this is something that I feel bad that you don't have. You don't say you had like the most amazing, like flirtatious night. You like made out with the guy of your life. Like you can't relive those nights in your head. Like if you, like, I'm not saying that like I'm reliving it like as if it feels like a dream to me, but like I can almost, depending on the atmosphere around me, feel like everything again and like see it, like press play in my head and
you're talking about sexual fantasies, I guess. Essentially
I'm not even talking about that. I'm great memory of like a vacation, like something. I'm not just talking about like a romance. I'm talking about like your greatest memories. Like you can't relive your greatest like nights with your friends like in your head.
Yeah. Right. So like I can relive things in like daydream. It's so hard to explain because
I know.
I can imagine, and that's the thing. Like what I would call daydream now, I realize is not what actually most people daydream as, because that's just like a word I use. But like I can think back on what has happened, and I can even like, I guess to the best of my ability, without seeing anything, feel like I'm reliving it. But it's
so you
really
feel and less see.
Yeah, it's just
which honestly is cooler, I think.
I think there are some perks to it. Like
no, because Kate, you probably feel, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but I'm assuming maybe you feel it more viscerally, because it's
like when I think back on something.
Yeah.
It channels through a different way.
Yeah, it's like when someone has one sense, like if they're blind or can't hear and the other one just becomes stronger, it kind of feels like...
I feel like this would be a weird correlation, but I do have a really strong sense of smell. So maybe that has something.
I think probably does. Yeah, because those trigger memories more than anything. So I'm just like, I always plan my outfits out in my head. So like you can't plan your outfits out in your head, like thinking about your closet and like which shirt would go with which pants or something.
That, yes, I do have a hard time with that, as well as like if someone's, you kind of brought it up with like the house, like if someone's like, oh, picture that this is here, like if someone's trying to talk about how we're going to arrange something, I'm like, I need to like see it, like I need to like move it, like I can't really, like I can try to imagine it. The best way for me to describe it is it's just like black in my head. Like I almost have questions for you guys as to like how you can do it. Like, are you able to still see something in your head even if your eyes are open? Like, I think that's what confuses me.
Yeah. Okay, wait, let me try. Tell us to think of something with our eyes open.
I've been doing it the entire conversation.
So weird to me. Okay.
Yeah, I just saw a cow in my head.
Wait, I'm picturing myself looking at bison in Lamar Valley in Yellowstone. I go back to that memory often.
Yeah.
Well, and see, like, books make more sense to me now.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, because that's how so many people
must
read
hate
books
reading.
is picturing.
Yeah, like the books I like to read are much more like self-help books, and I was always good at like reading textbooks, but like anything fiction or anything that's really a story, like reading all the descriptive wording, I'm like, this is like, what's the point? Like,
Yeah.
what's the point of like whatever it is here. Like, I get plot and I get all this stuff, but like I love watching movies and TV shows. But now
to be fair, Kate, I feel the same way, and I don't have. What you have.
So it must be way worse for you, but
I just see how it's appealing now. Like, I get how
totally.
Enjoy it.
Yeah. Wow.
It's like,
you know what's even more interesting is that I'm in EMDR therapy, which is another thing I wanted. What was the first thing I said we need to do a podcast on? Oh,
endometriosis.
Yeah, but didn't I mention something else? Okay, we need to do
memory.
Oh, we need to do endo, memory, and EMDR. So in EMDR therapy, it's all based on you like doing bilateral movements, like looking back and forth on a screen or closing your eyes and tapping yourself, which is what I do. But your brain just produces images just randomly. And then when the set's over, you open your eyes and you tell the therapist like what popped up. So I was like wondering like if I wonder how you'd be able to do that.
I would really love to see what kind of research is starting to happen. They didn't even really have a word for this until like, I think 2010, 2015.
What?
Yeah. So the reason it really started becoming well known and discovered is because someone went in for some type of surgery, woke up, and then they were like, I can't see things in my head anymore.
Oh,
so the only reason I was able to say it is
because it like went away.
Right. And then there was like scientific publishments on it. And then people were coming up and saying, well, I could never do that. Like I was never able to see things in my head. So now like it's still so new, like in the research science world.
Kate, this is so exciting. You're like so cool. Like you need to tell the world about this. And yeah, you could be studied and there could be a movie about you on Lifetime.
Oh my God.
Big, huge question. Have you never had a dream in the middle of the night?
I can dream. So that is
what?
That's
really amazing.
So I can dream. And so that's why I can at least kind of conceptualize the fact that like it's a possibility because I do dream at night. I don't do it often and I don't really remember them. But
so you can dream, but you can't daydream.
Yeah.
So you're a night dreamer.
I guess so.
At least you get some kind of taste of it, so it's not like totally foreign to you.
True.
I so want to just like be a part of the study that you're a part of because I wonder if heartbreak affects you differently. And I wonder because sometimes when we relive trauma in our head, like people that have PTSD, it's probably really linked to the fact that like they were in the war zone and they can still picture that. And I wonder if not being able to see it maybe hurts less. I don't know. But then we just said that you might feel it in your body more.
Like
so I don't know.
Eternal sunshine of a spotless mind will just cut off the aphasia effect so you don't have to think about it.
So this is really interesting that you bring
she could think about it, she just can't see it.
Yeah. See it.
I was trying to think through like, okay, now that I realized about myself, like what has my life been? Like how have I like lived life, right? And I actually went through something pretty traumatic in high school. There's actually a student who came into our school with knives and attacked a lot of us. And I was one of the people hurt that day, but I don't have any PTSD.
But you were one of the people hurt?
Yeah, I was one of the people hurt that day. You probably can't see it really well, but I have a scar across my face.
Hey, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Holy shit.
Oh no, it's okay. I bring that up to say though, that I think one of the perks of aphantasia is like, I don't know if you can have PTSD because like I can recount all the things that happened that day, but I can't.
You're not
like I don't have like
you're not seeing this person coming towards you,
which is what traumatizes us. I think like it's that fear in the brain, the part of the brain.
That's exactly it.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow, Kate, that's insane. I'm very sorry
old
that
were you?
happened to you. That's terrifying.
I was a junior in high school.
Oh my God. Jesus.
Yeah.
That's
this
super
world,
scary.
This world we live in now. I can't.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I feel like that's like the only perk I could come up with though. Otherwise, I do feel like I'm missing out a little bit.
You're not missing out. You're not missing out on anything. This is the way you were supposed to be. And it's just different. And I don't think you should feel like you're missing out.
Yeah. And hopefully it'll be in like a study one day and it'll be really helpful.
I know. I would love to do that.
Yeah, that's so cool. Thanks for sharing that. I
Thank you so much.
I wonder now if other people, this podcast is going to be so great for people to feel seen if they're feeling the same things that our guests are feeling.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
that was
Kate.
so cool.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
You too. Bye.
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 So wild.
All right, guys. Well, that was quite fascinating podcast.
We literally
was
hit
amazing.
Everything that was interesting. Like,
we can
everything is so equally
there's other people that I messaged that I didn't get responded to in time, but they were offering up their stories. So maybe we do this again down the road.
Part 2? We haven't had a part 2 in a while.
Yeah, we could do a part 2. There's also a lot of other very, I think I mentioned this at the beginning, like serious diseases that came up when I asked the question that are still very rare but should be talked about. So like that's also something we could do down the line.
Great for hypochondriacs.
Oh, great. Yep. Okay.
Well, now I think I have 2 uteruses.
Wait, they cut you open. Wouldn't they find that out?
Well, actually, would they know that? Sometimes I feel like my tampon is half. Now I'm like, I never pay attention.
I think
maybe they got to go do a scan on the left side and on the right side.
Do you think they would have found that in my surgery years ago?
Did they do yours laparoscopically?
What? No, they cut into me.
Oh, they did?
I feel like they would have found it then.
They would have found it, right? He would have told me then.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Okay.
The anxiety.
Well, thanks for joining us. We love you so much. Goodbye.
We love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
If you want to be the most interesting person at the cocktail party, well, hop on over and listen to the Brain Candy podcast.
Our award-winning content will have you laughing while you're learning.
We read all the best articles, books, and studies and keep up with new TV shows, documentaries, and pop culture. And then we cram it all into 2 shows a week.
Conspiracy theories, cannibal rabbits, unsolved mysteries, the history of the Walkman. There's something for everyone.
The Brain Candy podcast. Find our link in the show notes.
Or simply search for the Brain Candy podcast on your podcast app.
I don't get it.
Podcast.